Hi guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be interviewing a very interesting human being. Mr. Garth Prinsonsky is sitting down with us for today, so without boring you, let's get into it. Welcome Garth.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, good. It's nice to be here. It's
Nice to be here now.
Nice to be home, you say.
Home.
Yeah.
So where in Swakop is home exactly?
I don't have a home in Swakop anymore, so the whole of Swakop, everywhere, I just, anywhere close to the beach, somewhere close to the ocean is home. I'll call it home for now. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So just tell us a little bit about yourself, man. For anybody who's never heard about you, who is Garth Prince?
Yeah, so my name is Garth Prinsonsky. My stage name is Garth Prince. I grew up in Swakopmund, but I live in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada now. And I moved there about 15 years ago. And when I was in Namibia, eons ago, I sang in Moscato Youth Choir, and I was part of a vocal group called Afroshine. And we did some music and commercial type music. And I did similar music when I moved to Canada, trying to bring sort of the African vocal music over there. But over time, I saw another unique opportunity because I have a family and I have my own kids as well over there. I started teaching them the music from Namibia, and they loved it so much that one thing led to another. So to condense a really long story, I could say one thing led to another, and eventually I got into what we call the children's music market, which is what I do now. I perform mostly for schools. I do programs at schools. I design my own programs that we do at schools, and I teach them the songs that I write. I teach them some traditional songs from Namibia and other parts of Africa. That's what I do now as a creative.
That is nice. I love the fact that you could bring in the fact that you're a creative, a family person, definitely an educator as well. I know that since we've met a week ago, you did not like the whole teacher thing. What is the difference between being called a teacher and an educator?
Well, I guess in Canada there's a certain certification you need to get to be a teacher, and I did not follow that path. My mother is a retired teacher from Swakopmund, so she's Juno Award. She taught here, and that's a different way of doing things compared to what I do. Yeah. I'm an artist in residence, and what that means is the artist then comes and spends time at the school, comes in as a guest and shares their music. And there are many different kinds of artists in residence in Canada. You can be a painter, and then you design a program that schools can engage with you. So I'll make an example. Some people will do like paintings, and then they'll come and work with the kids, and they'll make a giant canvas or something, and then when they leave, that stays behind. Yeah, so you have to come up with something creative, how schools can engage with you. So I designed my own program like this, and in my city, it's currently, according to the teachers, it's one of the top 3 programs in the city. So it's quite sought after. It's music, singing, dancing, with a live band.
Very cool. Yeah. So the other night when we had a conversation, it was nice to hear you guys kind of go back into what childhood was like. What would you say are like 2 of the major memories that you have about growing up in Swakopmund?
Like childhood.
Let's see. Before like 15 years when you departed.
50. Oh, up to then. So not just
like
childhood.
2 nice memories that you had from Swakopmund or growing up around Swakopmund.
Well, for me, definitely when I joined Moscato Youth Choir was it was huge for me because essentially because I'm kind of like a mixed person. So my parents are different races, and so I'm mixed. So I never felt myself fitting in with a specific race.
Yeah, cool. That's nice. So
what ended up happening was I never felt like part of a community. You know how some people say, if I'm a Damara person, then I have the Damara community, and we kind of share so many things together as a community.
Yeah.
Now, for me, the choir when I was about 15. When I joined the choir, that was my first feeling like that.
Yeah.
Like I was part of a group of people, like a large, something bigger than myself. So that's what I would say one of my biggest memories from growing up there. And the other one is just really swimming in the ocean.
Swimming in the ocean.
I used to swim in the ocean a lot, so I used to like actually swim. So go into the ocean and swim. And the memory that stands out was the memory that ended my swimming in the ocean, because we went swimming. We were a group of guys that always did it. We used to call it diving waves, brandersteek.
Yeah.
Every day.
About that.
Every day after school, every single day. So we used to do that. And then one day we came out and we just sat because we were tired, and we looked into the ocean, and there was a shark swimming. And I mean, sharks are not typical here, but there was a shark swimming around the area that we had just been
Closely gotten away from.
Yeah, so a memory. That was my last time, I think, doing that. But it's just a good feeling.
Yeah.
Like I remember it almost. It's really cold. Our ocean is really cold, so
Yeah.
it was definitely a nice experience doing that growing up.
Oh, nice. So, rumor has it that you used to walk. You were an avid walker.
Oh yeah, people say that. Okay, it's
Like
true.
that's the one memory. Like a lot of people from growing up around you say, like, "Oh no, that one walked everywhere." Do you think like that's something you carried into moving into Canada? I know that probably avidly you're a driver on the other side. Is walking still something you avidly do?
Now I have this thing where my watches and stuff, like they count my steps.
Yeah.
And I'm actually trying to be more fit. So I am actually trying to walk 10,000 steps a day, which I usually, if I'm running a residency program,
Yeah.
then I easily reach that goal of 10,000 steps because you're on your feet all
Yeah.
day. But on days where I'm not doing the residency, I still walk with the goal of trying
Yeah.
to walk 10,000 steps. But if I had it my way, if cities in Canada were built more walkable,
Yeah.
and they are not. Not my city where I
Yeah.
live. It's not a walkable city.
City.
If it was, I would walk 20,000 steps a day. I think I
Yeah,
would
easily, hey?
because I think it's great for your body. I think it's good exercise. It calms the mind. Maybe it's part of that growing up and walking.
Yeah,
that
I know.
maybe that's what it is. But for me, if I've worked in front of a computer for 2 hours, 3 hours, I know that I should just go for a walk.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about what brought you back to Namibia. You're a renowned Juno Award winner.
Oh yeah.
What was this weekend like, having that booth and trying to promote the book? Tell us a little bit more about how the idea for the book came together and the album. How was that little journey for you?
Okay, so you gave me two questions.
Yeah,
Is
two
it the
questions.
journey about the book and stuff, or do you want to hear about how it was being back at the
Let me
booth,
say, you can tell us a little bit more about Grazing from Home.
grazing back home the book?
Home, the book, and then we can go
Okay.
into the album itself.
Yes. So, in I would say Canadian literature and maybe even American literature, there isn't a lot of representation of African people.
Yeah.
So I had the idea of, especially since I'm in the children's market, to do a children's book with my music, so that kids can see role models,
Yeah.
like kind of like themselves,
Yeah.
see themselves in the stories at school too, because in Canada we have a real lack of black teachers,
Yeah.
and so I thought that this would be a way to inspire kids, through the book.
Yeah.
So that's how the idea came about, and in a sense, I would say it ended up being very successful. We've almost sold out all of our initial print run of books by now, and the musical component of the book won the Juno Award, which is the top award you can win musically in Canada in that genre. So, yeah, all in all, I would say it's nice to have an idea and then to kind of share it, and then
Yeah.
people agree that it's good.
Yeah.
Because I definitely can say that not all my ideas
Have
are
been
great.
done.
No, that was one out of like 50 ideas that actually worked. So yeah,
That's
I'm happy.
great. So tell me, when did you know that you had to do like an audience switch from adult adult to children? Because I mean, I do think that you didn't step out into the whole music thing thinking, I want to do music for children all the time. What was that moment of switch for you?
For me, I'm very much a receptive person to feedback, and I really listen to my audiences and the people that book me. So our band we were well booked for how new I was to Canada.
Yeah.
But then, little by little, people started adding school concerts to the booking. So they would book us in a town. So let's say Swakopmund wants to book me to come. And there the bookings can be done by the municipality, and then you perform in the town hall or something. So they would book me for that, but then I just noticed this trend of municipalities saying, can you also perform at a school or two?
Yeah.
And that's not even something that we do a lot here, but then I remembered when I was a kid, we had artists perform at our schools.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It was a thing, right?
It was a thing. Assembly time.
Yes,
Yeah.
there would be some artists that come. So when I noticed this, it piqued my interest.
Yeah.
But then one day I got asked to play a children's festival, and they said we want 10 shows in 1 week. And so they told us, Monday you play this time, and we played those 10 shows, and the teachers who brought their classes to the festival, they asked me, the songs you performed, can you teach some of them? Would you come to my classroom?
Yeah.
And so then I went and did that. So little by little, it just got more and more until I paused and I said, let me really think about this. And that's when I decided, you know what, it does make sense. But I didn't want to do both things because then I would be busy in the evenings and during the day. But then I thought, if I'm going to be busy during the day, then I'm going to have a similar schedule to my family, to my kids, and I'm going to be home usually when they're home on the weekends. Whereas the other way, where I was performing, we used to be gone weekends.
Yeah.
So it was a better fit for our family. So that's why I chose it as the
route to go.
the long-term
cool.
goal. Yeah.
So Afroshine, is it something that you were in here? Is it something that went to start over in Canada? Because I know in 2008, 2018, you guys did the Team Mama song.
Oh yeah,
and
that was actually
pretty good.
It was so long ago. It was 2008.
Yeah,
and at the Namibian Film Awards, we won Best Music Video that year, and we were on MTV Base, and there was a Coca-Cola Top 10 thing in South Africa, and Team Mama was on there as well on the Top 10. So it did really well, and some people recognized me from that. And it was Moscato sang the backing vocals of it.
Wow.
So it was a really big project, but it was my first introduction to the professional music industry. Like, how are things done by a professional producer, a professional film crew, and I really have DB Audio of Namibia to thank for that, because DB Audio, in a sense, we didn't have a word for it back then, but they sponsored the video. In a sense, looking back now, I can say that's what it was. And if it wasn't for them, I don't think I'd be where I am today, even.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, tell me a little bit about Team Mama. I'm trying to understand. Obviously, Team Mama, from my little knowledge of the original Damara language, would be you speaking about your mom. But what was the whole concept of the song? Somebody who's never heard it. Yeah.
So what happened was we were a 3-group member. One person was Oshivambu, one person was Damara, and then me. It was all mixed. So I was like, I'll just sing English if you guys don't mind. So I sang all the English stuff. And then we had the guy who did Shivambu and a little bit of rap, kind of like that, and then the singing. And the Damara gentleman, Romano Nausep, he just showed up with the chorus of the song and he sang it for us, and it was a ballad version of it's kind of think of artists like Boyz II Men, like the mom song, right? Like song like that, but in Damara. And it was a little bit of just singing about my mom. And I just asked him, what do the words mean? And he said, it means, mom helped me to stay on the right path. He's wanting to make mom proud, right? So I was like, wow, there's something here. It's special, like the beginnings of a good song. So then we sat down and finished writing that together, with the rapper adding his part, me adding my part, and we didn't think much of the song compared to other songs that we liked.
Yeah.
And we showed it to the director of the choir, all the songs, and she was the one who said about the Teen Mama song, she said, like, go back to number 6 or something, and she's
Yeah.
like, play that one again. And then she said, the choir has to sing that. And we did, it's not even something that crossed our mind. And then we sang it a cappella, and Theo, who's currently the director of the choir, helped us write an arrangement for choir. And it became actually for Moscato, it was their closing piece for at least maybe a couple of years.
Oh, wow.
And for big shows in Germany,
Yeah.
even in Canada, we would close usually it was one of the biggest songs in the show. It would be like that time of the night, you know, like the show. We would do all these shows, and they're like, now
It's coming. The song's
we sing
coming.
it. And I'll never forget singing that song on Mother's Day in Germany. And we were getting ready, everybody,
Yeah.
and we had been on tour for a while, Moscato. And that day, everybody like had been away from home for so long, and they missed their mothers. And they sang, and I'll never forget, we're in the middle of singing it, and at least a third of the choir was crying and singing. And then I knew, okay, there's something there. And DB Audio, when they heard, we sang it at the National Theater.
Oh.
That's that night, because DB Audio, they did the sound there. That night, they came and said, this needs a producer, it needs da-da-da-da, and this. I'm like, how much does all that cost? They said, we don't have time to think about that. We need to record this song. And so it really, like, the song had a life of its own.
Yeah.
It really did by the end of it. So it was this very special, I guess, experience. And
Yeah.
so it is with all songs, really, but that one in particular, yeah.
Yeah. Great. Let's talk about your current bands, because definitely being part of a musical family has always been like a journey for you. So let's talk about the current band that you did the album.
The album with, yeah. So we have a team of guys in team of guys in Canada, and they're all Canadian, and so we always joke about it because they're them being white guys.
Yeah.
And they work with me to perform this music, but one of them at least, has traveled to Namibia before.
Namibia before,
Yeah,
okay.
he was an exchange student here before,
Yeah.
and so they really take a lot of feedback and guidance from me to try to create an authentic sound.
Yeah.
And we're not trying to sound like a Namibian band, but maybe what I want, I would say, how I would describe it is, I miss the music from back home,
Yeah.
and I miss Moscato.
Sorry.
I missed singing in Moscato. I missed that experience, that community. I miss all these things, and we wanted to create a sound that could make me live in that sound
Yeah.
somewhere, and it could kind of like give me those good feelings that I grew up with. So that's really the goal. So it's pretty vague, the feeling, the sound, but it's working. People, they get it.
Yeah,
you know,
they get it.
they enjoy it. It's like Canadians tend to be like calm, sitting down and listening to music. It depends which age group you have, but they tend to be more quiet unless it's a certain music, like maybe rock music or something. But when it comes to other kinds of music, they tend to be more reflective and so on. But we like to dance.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, so we like to dance. So we play like a nice upbeat, type of music, and the children were the only ones to dance.
Oh, wow.
And the thing is, the first time we played a kids show, we didn't tell the kids they needed to dance. We just started playing, and they danced, and we really felt like they get it.
Yeah.
They do get it. It's cool.
It's cool.
So the band, it consists of people that I met, the exchange student, and one person introduced me to another, and
that
so
just
on.
came together.
And it came together, and they each of them are really, I would say, I'm so fortunate because because I play during the day.
Yeah.
I don't play in the evening, so I'm not competing with a lot of other events.
Yeah.
So what happens is coincidentally, because of this schedule that I have, I could say I have maybe like some of the best band members in the city.
Yeah.
Like one of the best bass players, drums, like everybody. One of the best guitar. Like they're all playing in my my band. Like it's just so when they play, they're so professional. I don't, I never have to worry about like did they practice the music or something. I never have to worry about that. I just show up
That is
and
really amazing.
I send them the music ahead of time, and they're just like ready to go. Quick rehearsal, off we go. And one day I was doing just these shows with them, and on the stage, I was still performing, and I looked back at the band as we're playing, and I said, "We need to record this album now because while we have this
That
sound,
yeah.
we have to record it." And that's the album that won the Juno. Like that's the album. Like so that's what we. That's what we recorded. It's Falling in Africa. And Falling in Africa itself, the song, is probably a big contributor to that. That because it sounds very much like more fun and dancing and stuff like that. More like that, yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about it. Edmonton, Alberta. Why this city of all cities? Has it always been home since you've been in Canada?
Yes. Yeah, so I've always lived there because my wife is from there. That's
she's
pretty
from
much it.
Oh, wow.
So we met on one of the choir tours. She was one of the one of the choirs from there.
Yeah.
So she's been to Namibia at least by now. It's probably 3 times already. Yeah. So when I moved there, that's where she lives. Her sisters, her family. So we just stay there. It's a really big city, so about 1 million people, and
half the population
has
of Namibia.
Yeah, it pretty much has everything that you need. Like, it doesn't have like an NBA basketball team. It has an ice hockey arena, so they're big into ice hockey there. So the culture is a little bit like, I would say, what we do is a little bit underground there, right?
Yeah.
There's just a smaller community, but like say maybe 5% African population. Yeah, 5%. I would say that would be for the whole province of Alberta, which is about that.
Cool. So let's talk about being married. Like it's such a nice and spontaneous thing, but now being married to another, I would say, another artist basically, because also she has elements of being an artist or creative. Let's talk about being married cross-continental, because as mixed as you are, you've mentioned that she is also, no, she's mixed, not mixed. She is Canadian,
she is
Chinese,
She
right?
is, yes. She's just, yeah, so Chinese Canadian, her. Her parents immigrated first to Vietnam, I think, and then to China. So they're Chinese, Vietnamese, and over there are many people who immigrated and form part of that community. So they're Chinese, they speak Cantonese, and then marriage. I think like it takes 2 people who are going to work really hard anyway, regardless of whether you're the same, because whether you're like come from the same culture. Maybe we can say it's a little bit easier, but there are other things for us that we felt that had to line up more, like our values, our faith. Those are things that had to line up, that we felt were more important than culture. But culturally, I would say it's just a little bit funny, some of the things. Like, I don't want to eat Chinese food all the time. It's more like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But
Small details.
we joke about those things,
That is so
and we just joke about it and make light of it. We don't make a big deal out of it. But she has her girlfriends, and she has a really good time with them, and I have like my trips to Namibia.
Yeah.
That's what I do. So
Okay, so
and I come and visit. But I do call my mom, my dad, my brother, my friends
Here on a regular.
on a regular.
Do you think that being able to call home over the last 15 years, that it actually helps you maintain the Afrikaans a little bit?
Yeah, so I mean, I speak Afrikaans with them, but I say like it's not really about the language for me. It's more like, to be honest, I felt like I noticed that if I don't call home, I don't think I could live there.
Yeah, no?
Yeah, because I miss Namibia so much. So it's like Namibia will always be a part of me, and so when I first moved, you know, like when you move away, especially when we moved to countries that they call like first world countries,
Yeah.
we just think of all the nice things that the country has,
Yes.
like fast internet or whatever. It's really fast. But anyway, when you move
that
there,
along next time.
okay. So when you move to countries and you see all the nice things, first you think, this is great, I want to live here forever.
Yeah.
And then you start missing the little things from back home.
Yeah.
And for me, it was the people
Yeah.
I started missing. And then I noticed our people are just so great. It kind of fills my bucket in a way,
Yeah.
like talking to the people here. So in that sense, I would say Namibia will always like always be home for me. So yeah.
So let's talk about a little bit about your kids. What was like fatherhood like? What is it? What are the aspects of being African or more being Namibian and being mixed? Because you were born in Cape Town, hey?
Yes.
And you grew up in Namibia. What are those elements that you take into fatherhood, especially because your kids are so culturally diverse?
Yeah. Well, I grew up with a very strict dad when it came to like academics, and at the time I really hated it. But in the long run, I found that it actually helped me for the better.
Yeah.
So like a lot of people might even look at my career, my music career, and say, well, you don't really need school if you're going to do
Yeah.
music. But all of my ability to apply for government funding, like writing proposals, doing all this was all, the foundation was laid in school.
Yeah.
As well. And I'm an avid studier still and reader. So I studied music, and now I'm studying arts and cultural management still. So I'm even studying the legal aspects, the financial aspects of the arts industry. I'm studying all those things. So when I work with my own kids, I try to always make sure they have enough fun, and kids will do that. But I also try to be very serious with them about work. But I don't know why. Maybe my wife being someone who likes studying and so on, the kids are really doing well. They're doing really well. And to a certain extent could be the music as well, the influence of music and that sort of thing, because it really stimulates kids' brains and that sort of thing. But yeah, we as a family, we have our challenges as well, like any other family, we have our challenges, but we have like just a couple of basic things that we do to make sure that we put the family first still.
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So one thing I've been really joking about over time is the fact that you're a Juno Award winner. Like I've been telling everybody, I know a Juno Award winner. I know most people here probably do not know what a Juno Award winner is, but tell me, when you won the award. First, let's talk about the 3 nominations that you had, because I know you were nominated for quite a few things. In 2021, you were nominated for something.
Yeah, so, for me, in the long term, I'm going to think about policies and structural to make it fair for artists, wherever, whether it's Namibia or Canada, because the way that an award is structured, how you can win it, is what determines a lot of times who's going to win or who cannot participate. So just to make a very simple example, if the awards were to say, in order to participate, you need to put in a full album.
Yeah.
Then they say, well, for the rap category, we allow you to submit if you had a hit single, just one song.
Yeah.
The amount of people that can now participate is completely different.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So every award structure is so different. So in this case, I was nominated for a lot of things.
Yeah.
At city level, at provincial level, and I couldn't win because some of them were based on voting. And I'm just nobody knows me in Canada. I'm new, right?
Yeah.
And some of them, I don't know, like with the structure and how they work, I wasn't winning.
Yeah.
So it was really funny to me that by the time I won, it was only the highest award that I won in the country, because that one had a panel of experts.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, but now not all the Junos are like that.
Yeah.
There's only 4 or 5 awards that are like that. So many of them are also based on voting.
Yeah.
But let's take popular music, pop music. In order to win pop music, I think it makes sense that
Yeah.
you need to
have a certain level of
popularity, right?
around.
Exactly. So I saw the opportunity, and I knew that I stood a chance.
Yeah.
Because I always felt that a group of professionals listening to my music would know that it was good. I wouldn't know if it would be good enough to win, but they would at least be, I felt, impacted by what the work we've done, because we flew to Namibia, recorded the voices of children here, mixed it with the voices of children in Canada. So it was a really big project, and it sounded so great.
So how did you guys sample the kids that you worked with while you were in Namibia doing this recording?
We did a concert of the songs. So we did a test, a small concert at Quisep Primary. Yeah, it was as part of the documentary. So the documentary is called Memoirs of the Motherland. So it shows that whole process of how we went, and we worked with the kids, and we performed the songs with them at the Quisep Moon Hall. We performed it there, and so DB Audio again,
your favorite,
gave me a good deal and came down and recorded it.
Oh, wow.
The actual concert.
Yeah, the actual concert.
And we took that audio from the concert, and we took that to the sound engineer. So that's how we sampled.
That is amazing.
Yeah, so they recorded the kids live off the floor. On the record, there's some songs where you can hear, like some of them have a live feel to it, but it gives it. I say it sounds like Namibia, because it is like it's Namibia. All of a sudden you're on a song and it sounds like Namibia on the record, right? So things like that I have to say, it was a big risk to invest that much, because it costs at least 50,000 Canadian dollars. So you have to multiply that by 14. It cost us at least 50,000 to produce that record. And we were helped by the Edmonton Arts Council and other Canadian agencies as well. But in the end, in order to get certain things done, I had to move fast, and so I had to do things out of my own pocket. So it was a big risk.
What would you say is your favorite song on the album?
Well,
that's close to your heart.
For me, when we started the album, we were going to call the album "The Savannah Is Calling," and that was the song. And a lot of radios will play it. It doesn't necessarily sound like a kid's song, but it just talks about like the journey of, what it feels like living abroad, and then the Savannah's calling me, like I want to go back home. It's kind of like one of those type of songs, and I wanted the album to be called "The Savannah Is Calling," and we were writing other songs that were gonna come into the album, and then I heard about the Hoba meteorite in near Grootfontein. It was also a children's book. That was a book about space, and I was reading it for my daughter, and it said in the book lots of things like planets and the sun, and then I got to this page about meteorites, and there was this picture of this thing, and it said the largest meteorite in the world lies in, is called Hoba, and lies in a place called Namibia. And I closed the book and I said goodnight to my daughter, and she's like, "What's going on?" And I said, I need to double check if this is true, because I grew up in Namibia and I don't know about this. And she said, "No, just Google it here. Like, you don't have to." So I Googled it in front of her on my phone, and it was true. And I said, "Wow, I'm just shocked right now." And I said goodnight. I hope you can sleep. And then I went downstairs and I sat down at the piano. And I was just so excited. I wasn't even trying to write a song, but I wrote the chorus of "Falling in Africa." I see a shooting star falling in Africa. I see a shooting star lying in Namibia. I sat down on the piano, and it was just, I don't even know, it was just there. And so for the next week, I wrote the verses. I tried to figure out, am I going to make it an educational song? What am I going to do? But I said, no, when you think of a shooting star, it's just, you make a wish. So I'm like, I'm just going to make some fun lyrics that are just, just dance, okay? So I just needed to fill that space. So I wrote that. In my mind, for the album, "The Savannah Is Calling," But then we played Falling in Africa, and everywhere we played it, even for adults, people were just dancing. And I remember the band playing, and we couldn't even stop playing because we had to keep playing Falling in Africa, just the parts where the dance section with no singing, because it was just a cool groove, you know, and people dancing. And these are people from from Nigeria and things, and they just loved it. And so the kids loved it too when we went into schools.
Yeah.
And it became such a thing, and they wanted to call it the Shooting Star song and stuff like that. And then eventually, you know, that pressure from the audiences made it like we changed the name of the record to
Falling in Africa.
because it was the favorite because people kept emailing me, when are you releasing the album? You said you're making an album with that song, and my kindergarten kid still asking me about this. So I get these emails, and I said, oh, that's probably going to be best to call the album that, so people know, like, the album's here.
Yeah, and
you can find it. It's Falling in Africa, and so that's how the song came about. But my personal favorite, to answer your question, was Savannah's Calling, which is great. It still adds a lot of character to the album when you listen to Savannah's Calling as well. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Garth, for spending some little time with us. So I'd like to know, if people wanted to go follow you, where do they find you? Where do they get to request if they want, like, the songs and the albums?
Well, I have my website, garthprince.com. That's where you can find everything. I'm on, like, Instagram and Facebook as Garth Prince as well. On Instagram at Prince Garth Music.
Prince Garth Music. You guys heard it from here first. By the way, sitting with the Juno Award winner. It was really, really nice spending some time with you, getting to hear about Savannah's Calling. And I definitely want to go listen to more of that. So if you're around the internet booth, get onto www.garthprince.com. Ta-da!
Cheers.